So I'm going to ask you a few more questions and move on a wee bit more.
Sure.
So, who is your top 5 favourite ICT players? It can be either past, present, or time.
Do you know this was
either for a personal reason, as in you like the look of how they played, or records, success.
This was tough. Like there were so many players that I kind of thought about, and then thought, no, and then it was really difficult to get it down to 5. What I ended up doing was kind of putting together a 5-a-side team.
Yeah, that's fine.
So the first player I went for was Mark Brown. And I kind of had Ryan Essen in my head for a lot of the time, and it was really hard to pick between the two of them. But I went for Bruni because he was the first keeper I saw that really kind of made it his own. Because when I started going to games, it was a combination of two kind of old Joes in Jim Calder and Nicky Walker, both of whom were, you know, their careers were kind of winding down. And then we took Mark Brown in, I think, the summer of 2002, and he just settled in instantly. He was probably the best keeper outside of the Premier League. Not the tallest, but really commanding and a great shot stopper. And he moved.
Great memory.
And he moved into the top flight without any fuss whatsoever. And like some of the saves he made were just incredible. I remember one game we played. I think we played Rangers down at Ibrox. It was our first season in the Premier League, and Rangers took the lead. Barry Ferguson scored, and they just obliterated our defence for the whole game, but they couldn't get past Brown. And then at one point I remember Nacho Novo going clean through, and I'm thinking, oh, this is going to be it, it's over. And he saved it with his boot, and I thought, you absolute gem. And then last minute of the game we got a point, Brian Prantey scored. And I remember coming away from that thinking, if Brown's not on goals, we get nothing. And the amount of games that we had that were like that were just unreal. There was one save I remember him making at Hampden from Stevie Crawford. It was a header, and you're thinking that's surely going in, and he just plucked it. And I mean, to be fair to Mark, you know, he was with us for sort of 2.5 years in the top flight. He was brilliant. Hearing himself a big money move to Celtic, deservedly so. If there's one player I wished we had brought back, because let's face it, we've brought back a whole number of them over the years. But if there's one player I wish I'd seen play again for us, it was him. And I remember he wound up at Ross County. I think it was the year we won the Cup, and he played in goals in a derby, and they got a draw out of it. And the reason they got that draw was because of him. Some of the saves he made in that game. I think there was one from Billy McKay, and I thought, God, that's just you rolling back the years. So just great keeper. It was a tough one, but ultimately just too many good memories, too much quality to say no to Mark. My next one again was a difficult one. That was my defender. I went for Ross Tokely, and might be a debatable choice for Sam, because we've had some really good defenders, certainly from the sort of Terry days. You know, you've got your Warrens and your Meekins, but the reason I went with Tokely was he started in the 3rd division with us. He joined us at 16, I think, from Huntly, and he came through all the divisions with us, and he played in the top flight with us, and he played with us right up until he was about, I think, maybe 34, 35, and he was brilliant. You know,
he didn't look out of place.
No, he didn't. And like many of those players that came through, he didn't look out of place.
A lot of people down south slate him, or a lot of people give him a spit. But us, some of us ones, seeing that quality he had.
I really liked watching him as a fullback. You know, he could be quite unconventional, but he could really move the ball. You know, and he had a good delivery on him, and he also had a knack for scoring important goals too. You know, he hit an absolute rasper at Tynecastle in 2002 in a Scottish Cup game, and I remember he scored an overhead kick once against Dundee United, and I remember thinking, that's a risky move, somebody that big. I'm surprised they didn't, you know, start a minor earthquake. But for a player, you know, I mean, he racked up hundreds of appearances for us, and again, you know, we talk about sort of unrepeatable feats. Something like that you would just never see again. To go from 3rd division right up to the Premier League and basically be a Premier League player for more or less the last decade of your career, because he spent a season at County after he was with us. It's pretty impressive. And the fact that he came back out of retirement in his 40s and was still doing it in Highland League, you know, fair play to him. My midfielder was actually probably the easiest pick of all of them. That was Greg Tansey. Just because I've never seen us, you know, have another player like him before. Somebody who could just literally ping a ball from anywhere. His range of passing, his sort of ability to pick out a killer ball was just super. And I mean, dead ball situations, just forget about it. He was absolutely exactly. And again, he's a player who, one of many who came back, and I was gutted when he left first of all, but I was really surprised we got him back because he seemed to be doing quite well at Stevenage, but for whatever reason it didn't work out. He came back north, and I mean, what's the first thing he does when he comes back north? He hits that absolute grasper against Hearts in the League Cup. No, exactly, and he, for that sort of 2-3 seasons, was probably one of our, if not our best player, and we haven't had anybody else quite like him. He was sort of like a quarterback player. Ross Draper kind of did the grunt work, and Tansey was basically the one who dictated the tempo of play.
I also think if he was at, he did move to Aberdeen later on, but if he moved to a Rangers or Celtic, Hearts, and he was playing as well as he was at Inverness, like if he was there, I think more appreciated. I
think in his case, he got really unlucky with injury after he left us. I mean, it was an injury that ultimately finished his career, and he wasn't old when he finished either. I think he was only like 31.
32.
Yeah, which is not old by today's standards, and he got really unfortunate more than anything. They never really got a chance to see him at his best because by that point his body was obviously letting him down. So I guess we just got lucky. We literally got the best out of him at that time. It's just a shame that his last season was the season that saw us dropping at the Championship. And I know he came in for some stick sometimes. Maybe folks saying that his head had kind of dropped a bit, but I think he did as much as he possibly could. I think. Yeah, it was always going to take more than one player, but he's definitely one that I look back on and think we've not really had anyone else like him since. My next option was a wide player, and that's Jonny Hayes. And again, that was probably the first name I had down, probably before Tansey even. I don't think there was really much expected of him when he first joined. He came in during that season we dropped into the Championship, or First Division as it was then, and I don't think people expected much from him because he got injured really early on, but then he got himself fit, and you could see there was a player there. The pace, the ability on the ball, he was really comfortable on both feet, and he was one of those players, no matter how poor the game was, he always had a chance of changing it. The amount of games that we won, or the amount of goals we got, or points that we scrambled for, all of them were down to Jonny. Again, moved into the Premier League seamlessly. Made his move to Aberdeen and ultimately became a legend there as much as he did here. Just a super player who.
I'm actually got a move to Celtic. I mean,
he did.
I think certainly so.
Yeah, and he's got an Old Firm goal to take away from that as well, which will be special for him. Just a player who enjoyed great longevity and never really showed a drop off either.
And also someone who has many fond memories of Johnny Foxes.
I can imagine. No, player I had a lot of admiration for, and I think again the only player I could say that has even come close to looking like what he looked like is someone we have just now, and that's Liam Solomon. It's taken literally years to find someone who even comes close to offering what Jonny offered on the pitch. Just a phenomenal player, and again, if we'd had the chance to bring him back, I'd have loved to, but it was never to be. And my last one is actually someone who's currently with us, and that's Billy McKay. Yeah, it was tough because I kind of had whiteness in my head for quite a while.
Adam Rooney.
Adam Rooney's another one, because I think
him sort of excellence in that League Cup final.
Yeah, I think the reason he gets overlooked as well is because he was with us for 3 seasons, but that first season he was there, he never played an awful lot. He didn't get much game time. But when he dropped into the First Division, Butcher obviously gave him his chance, and he just took it. And then when he came back into the Premier League, that was like just duck to water basically. But I went for Billy just because when Billy first arrived, he struggled a lot. I think he only got 3 goals in his first season.
And he didn't play much. He didn't start much, did he?
No, latterly he didn't, and then he got a new contract, and I remember sort of thinking, is he really worth a 2-year deal? And he just didn't look back. I think he got something like 30 goals that second season. Some of the goals he scored as well. Like you look at some of the goals he scored in the derbies, they were phenomenal. He just kept producing, and you know he ultimately netted us six figures when he went to Wigan.
Last at the time.
Yeah, we got him back, but unfortunately it was kind of too little too late to stop us from going down.
Yeah.
He went over the bridge, which I guess I can forgive him for. But when we got him back, I mean, obviously we were getting him back knowing he wasn't going to be the kind of player he was sort of 10 years previously, but at the same time I didn't want that. I wanted somebody who had that experience and had that foresight for the players we had, and to be fair to Billy, he more than delivered when he did come back. I mean, yeah, and the season we got to Scottish Cup final, what did he get, like 20 goals that year?
Yeah.
I mean, to do that, sort of a player 35 and on 36.
He got our player of the year as well that year.
And he deserved it. I mean, anybody who watched the semi-final against Falkirk, they'll see just how good a finisher he was and still is.
And for someone who's technically small for a striker, his hold-up play, his movement.
Yeah, and I think we saw that.
It's so good.
We saw that when we dropped down to League One last season.
Yeah.
You know, he played almost every game. I know he wasn't an out-and-out goal scorer, but he was leading that line as best as he
Brings
could.
a lot more to the table than just goals.
And I remember he came under some criticism towards the end of last season. I think he missed a penalty against Alloa, and we didn't win that game, and it was starting to get a bit tight at the bottom. And to be fair to Kel came out and defended him and said he's going to deliver for us. And you look at the last 3 games of the season, he scored in each of them, and he scored an absolute stunner against Arbroath, which ultimately kept us up.
Exactly.
So you'd have to say Kel was right in what he said. He's chipped in with a few goals this season. I could be wrong, but I think he's probably a really positive influence on the strikers we've got right now, because Chanka Zimban and Alfie Bavidge are both, you know, into double figures for the season. What Billy offers us as a coach now as well as a player is instrumental at what we're doing. You know, so again, it wasn't an easy pick, but definitely felt like. And that's my fives.
Fair play, so run me through them quickly, your 5.
So Mark Brown, Ross Tokely, Greg Tansey, Jonny Hayes and Billy McKay.
Don't be that well.
Somebody will try, and fair play to them, whoever does.
Yeah, we would like to go against that team, that's for sure. Right, here's a bit of a question that might be something. I've got my own answer for this as well, so I'll see what you say.
Okay.
Your favourite loan player you've seen in an ICT shirt, so someone who might have not been here for a wee while, who'd have maybe made it permanent at the point. So someone who was on loan, they might have made it permanent, or they never were permanent.
There were a few that came to mind. Scott Allan was one. You know, he had a brief loan spell during COVID. I think he was sorry, he wasn't mine, if that helps. So you can more than happily give your reasons when you get your moment. Roman Golibart was another, just because as frustrating as he was a good defender at times. I'd have actually loved to get him back the season after. You know, the idea of Gary Warren balling at him on a daily basis just really appeals. Yeah, I've actually gone for it's kind of a combination. It's basically the loan players we brought in last season, the 2 Alfies and Ben Brannan. And the reason I've said them is because we weren't allowed to sign anyone else. All we could sign was kids, and all we could sign was loans. And the 2 Alfies came in. I mean, Alfie Bavidge scored some massive goals for us, and you know, I mean, we had I think 3 1-0 wins, which were all down to goals from him. That's what keeps us up. Alfie Stewart was great. You know, could play out wide, could play centre mid, could settle into both and do really well. And you would watch them play, and you would just forget that they were like 18, 19. Yeah, and then obviously the last one that came in was Ben Brannan. And I mean, you know, for a player like that to come in as late as he did and just sort of settle in as quickly as he did, he was massive for us.
And I think people forget, even then 3 years you've mentioned, how young they were.
Yeah, they were. I mean,
it's not easy to go into a pressurised game where knowing you need to win.
And to be fair to Brannan as well, he was still playing for Kilmarnock's youth setup while he was playing on loan for us. That was part of getting him in, but you know, the way I see it, if we didn't sign those players in the January window, we didn't stay up. So it's a combination of them being as good as they were and us being as clever as we were for getting them in. It was great recruitment under really, really limited circumstances. So I've gone for them. I'll probably, if I've got to pick a name, I'll probably go for Ben Brannan, just because he came in so late. He was playing for 2 teams basically, and he ended up finishing the season as one of our most consistent players.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah, and he was instrumental in keeping us up. So
The only reason I said Scott Allan was, although it wasn't COVID times, the team that we had at that point, he was quite key to it.
It needed some flair, didn't it? And he injected that.
And a player of that quality, I think if we managed to get the playoffs, all that in things of that went through,
yeah,
I think we'd had a very good chance of winning that.
You'll remember the Ross County game in the Cup on telly. I mean,
Absolutely.
he was one of our best players in that game, and I mean that was a top flight county team at the time, and we just dismantled
We
them.
battered them.
Yeah, and
Which
he
is
was,
another monumental day.
and he was an integral part of that. And yeah, I can see why people would pick him, because as brief as his time was here, it was important. There's no question
I
about that.
completely agree with that when Ben on and Alfie shirt, Alfie Bavidge.
Yeah.
To be honest, without them, who knows where it would be.
I don't think it would have been anywhere good.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So anyway, right, we're going to touch on this season. So first of all, yesterday's result at Montrose. What do you think?
To say it's disappointing would be an understatement. I think the nature and how we've lost it as well was really frustrating. You know, it's 2 set-piece goals. We get a needless red card for dissent for Ross Millen, who, you know, between injuries and now suspensions, just seems determined to make an absolute show of his ICT career. It's a sore one to take, because I think it's the first time that Cal's lost back-to-back games as Cali Thistle manager, and I think everybody saw the early goal and kind of hoped that this might be another one of those games where we kind of get 2 or 3, and it just didn't happen. I know he made changes. I assume he's looking for a response after losing to Steny, and he's also probably looking to freshen things up, because we've got a lot of games coming up in a short space of time. And at the end of the day, you know, we've got a big squad. You know, we should be able.
More than capable.
Yeah, we should be able to rotate a little bit and expect the result, but it didn't happen. And what we've got to do now is, I think it's good that we're playing our next game at home, hoping that we're playing Peterhead at a good time, because they seem to be shipping a lot of goals at the moment, and I'm hoping as well that it gives us a chance to get back to winning ways, because home form this season has been pretty good, you know.
Home against Park, and then it's just have to let that run form, which every team goes through.
It's also hopefully another opportunity to get Zimba back to fitness, because I think he's still carrying a bit of a knock. Yeah, jinx. Exactly, but it makes perfect sense, because I know Alfie Bavidge had a tough game at Steny, and I guess Scott was maybe looking for Billy's experience to maybe see us through the Montrose game, but it just didn't work out.
And then there's obviously that expectation from Alfie Bavidge having, I think it was the midweek before that, scoring 4 against Compartment.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of pressure on him as well, and
yeah,
he obviously came in on loan, which was huge at the time. There's no one realistically thought when he heard us in that. Didn't know what we were going to get.
No.
And the expectation for Alfie Bavidge was massive.
I think when Bavidge came back, everybody just assumed he'd kind of walk back into the starting 11 and pick up where he left off.
He was carrying an injury.
Yeah, and it's not. It's not. I wouldn't say it's not worked out. It's just not quite gone how we planned. And like you say, that's a combination of fitness for Bavidge, but it's also down to the fact that Zimba's made such a telling impact since he's come in.
I also still think it can work. It's not to say that it won't work. We're still obviously halfway through the season.
Exactly.
A lot of ins to play, and to be honest, there are 2 good options at this level.
I think people are.
Including Billy McKay, so.
And I think people are just frustrated, because if we'd beaten Steny, we'd have been 9 clear of them, and
I think people forget we were on biggest line as well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. No matter what happens this season, the table will never truly reflect whatever happens. Same as last season. You know, if we didn't get docked 15 points last season, we finished second.
Exactly.
You know, right now you should be tacking on 5 points to whatever we have, and that still puts us 5, 6 clear of whoever's second. I think it's Steny still. Yeah. So, but at the same time, we've got to be tougher in some games. You know, I think the Steny game was quite a scrappy one. Montrose are obviously in decent form at the moment. They're not an easy team. None of these teams are easy. So what we can't do is we can't let complacency creep in. I think all the players have got to be mindful of the fact that, like you say, there's a lot of depth. There's any of those players could get replaced by someone who's just as good. So hopefully, you know, you could see from Scott's post-match interview, he wasn't a happy man. I think probably a few players were going to get it in the dressing room post-match.
And that's what we need, fair enough.
Yeah, so hopefully it's a case of regrouping, getting a sense of home comfort next week and hopefully coming away with 3 points and putting ourselves back on a run again, because we need it.
We need it, especially when this one at Ames, so as if you've got a lot of aims, it helps if you bounce that low in straight away.
And it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the January window, because we've obviously got Liam Soul tied up for the rest of the season, but Alfie Stewart, there's still maybe a question mark on him. You wonder if Scott is looking at bringing one or two. I'm not sure. I don't think we need anyone. If I had a wish list, I would say we maybe need a more physical presence in the middle of the park.
Yeah, maybe helpful.
Yeah, not because I think Joe's done poorly. Joe's really good at what he does. He moves the ball really well. He's capable of unlocking sort of defences with a decent pass. He's got a good left foot on him as well. But you look at games like yesterday and like Steny, where it's a bit more of a physical contest, that's where you start missing somebody like Charlie Gilmore, for example.
And do a lot more in the running.
Who's just as well as being a good player, is a good athlete. You know, Joe's a good player, but he doesn't carry the same athleticism. And that's no disrespect to Joe. That is just the type of player Joe is.
Yeah. Lots of them touched on a few questions there and a few of the things that we went through.
Yeah.
We won't go on the Montrose result as we went through that. Right, where am I? Right, another question. Your favourite and least favourite ground to visit?
Oh wow. The favourite one was quite easy. That's Tynecastle. In terms of an away day, I really enjoy going to Tynecastle. Great view, cracking old school stadium, right in the heart of sort of Gorgie. And whenever I've gone down, there's always been a bit of crack with the Hearts fans in a good way. You know, I actually remember coming back from Bucharest and I was sharing a kind of train bit with some of the Hearts fans, and we just got talking, and we ended up talking for ages. We almost missed our train because we were so busy talking. So got a lot of time for them as a club, but got a lot of time for that place as a ground. It's a great place to visit. It's one of those moments where I wish we were still a top flight team, just so I could go and visit it. So a lot of fond memories, but just a nice place to visit.
Least favourite?
This wasn't easy, because actually, like, I've been to quite a number. There's a few I've still got to tick off, but I can't say there's anywhere I've been that's totally bad. Probably the worst ground I've been to in terms of how it was looking at the time is Central Park, which is Cowdenbeath, not New York. It was built in 1917. It still looked like it was sort of carrying a lot from 1917. It just looked really tired and really kind of run down in certain parts. I remember sitting on what I think is a seat. I'm not quite sure if it was or not, but the place was kind of falling apart a bit, and I know there was talk of kind of moving them out of there and possibly to another place on the outskirts, but that doesn't seem to have happened. But if it's anything like it looked when I visited it, and that was about maybe 7-8 years ago now, it's in a bit of a state. So that's the one, but it's purely based on the fact the place is needing a bit of a tidy up. You could have said the same about our one last season.
For me, I highlight that one myself.
Go on then.
My favourites are probably similar. Hearts and Hibs around Crystals, I think, from what they stand for. Easter
Road, a lot of good memories from Easter Road.
Similar like good as well. Maybe it's those are the memories as well. I obviously knew like when away to Ross County, Crystals on a day that Hayes.
I could never describe Ross County as a favourite.
I'm going to say it's a favourite for a memory, not the ground.
Absolutely.
Too close, too tight. My least favourites, this might take you by surprise. There's two. There's Morton's around, as well we went there.
Oh, Capello.
When we went there. It was a really weird one, I don't know if it's still the same. We walked through it was more than it's an older round.
It is, yeah.
You walk through past all the home fans, and you walk all the way past them. So it's just for that purpose, it didn't look that up to date. Also maybe ours, because it looked the same as well. And the other one, which I expected a lot more, that's why it's maybe a least favourite, was remember when Inverness played Motherwell a couple of years ago in the League Cup?
Fir Park.
Yeah, Fir Park. Went there,
was that when Van Veen got his hat-trick?
Yeah. Not at the late night, but the memory of that stadium, it looked, I don't know if it's still now, but it literally looked like the ground, it looked like, you know, they're update, it looked run down.
I think there's a few grounds like that, and that's just down to
but maybe that's not a least favourite, it's just how it looked at the time. That was that. But anyway, I'll move on forward. So this is one that I'm quite interested to hear your thoughts on. So Allan Solly, he was potentially looking to move Cali Thistles Solon's PSG Stadium. What are your thoughts on that or not? I'll add it into two things. I'll add in the link of the Danish billionaire Anders Polvsen with his links. Those I think they come into two.
Do you know, if you'd asked me sort of 6 months ago, I'd have probably been in favour of it. And I could see the logic in it. You know, at the end of the day, the ground is sitting right at sea level, right next to the water. This time of year, it's not a pleasant experience.
Yeah.
The football kind of makes up for it more often than not. But I mean, you look at the state of the ground before Allan came back. It was falling apart.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, the north stand and the south stand, they're both temporary stands. They only had something like a 10-year lifespan, and we've already doubled that lifespan.
Well, it's needed up.
And it's obviously taken a few hits with some of the bigger away crowds we've had.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw what happened to it when Hibs came to visit in the Scottish Cup. And you know, you look at the state of the West Stand before it got tidied up. It was looking pretty dim, but you know, they've obviously put a lot of work into it over the summer.
Yeah,
and it's great to see, and it's long overdue. There's still more they can definitely do to it. I know there's talk of the sort of drainage and how that impacts folks in wheelchairs and stuff, and hopefully that's something they'll tidy up as things go on. But you know, he's tidied up the car park. There's a fresh pavement outside. There's been a proper kind of lick of paint on the inside of the place. He's brought back terracing, which is a big deal, not just for the younger guys, but even for people like my dad. I mean, my dad used to do the terracing all the time, and even he's done it a couple of times. Fairer weather, of course, but you can see that there's been a lot of effort and time put in over the summer to get it into better working order. So he's probably looking at long term, maybe somewhere that we can sell and move to somewhere a bit smaller and a bit more, and a bit more practical, and maybe then you get a chance to build some training facilities as well. Good to be closer at home, but at the same time, you know, Scott Kelleher touched on it back in the summer. You know, he's got a lot of really, really good memories tied up with the Sarans, and I suppose it's the same for the likes of you and me, because you know, we're post-merger as fans, you know. I mean, I think I've got like one very vague memory of Telford Street from like the age of like 2.
My memory of it is Kenny's.
Exactly. So we've grown up with that as our stadium, and I don't know. Suddenly, sort of thinking about it today, just the idea of leaving it behind is not a nice one. I can understand it, and I think
so many memories that are held.
There are, and there's hopefully going to be more this season. But I just think with all the work they've put in, they're not looking to move away anytime soon. And
which maybe isn't a bad thing.
It's probably not, and he's obviously talking about putting a stage in behind the away stand, and he's talking about putting in a new pie hat. So, as much as maybe some people like the idea of us moving away, I don't think he intends to move us away.
No, and if he does, then you can see he'll put the work in, and if anything, he'll also sell on for more value.
Yeah,
so
I think so.
It's just an idea to hit revenue.
I think so. But credit to him, he's really tidied it up. And even then, that's just the start of it, because if we go back into the Championship, we're going to have to tidy up more, because we're going to start getting bigger crowds through the door again.
Absolutely. And then just quickly, your thoughts on the links for Anders Polvsen. If you think that's...
I can't see it personally. No. I think if it was going to happen,
it would have happened already.
Exactly. And you know, I could understand. I know he was approached when we went into administration, and I can understand people being quite reluctant at the time, because we, you know, our financial position was quite precarious. Obviously, the situation with the land didn't help, and by hook or by crook, Allan's worked incredibly hard to get all that back in our hands. You know, and credit to him for doing that, because he's not just got us back, he's gone about it the hard way, he's got everything back, and
it's not easy.
No, and hats off to him for doing it. But I just think where Polvsen's concerned, I know Allan's approached him a couple of times. I don't know if there's anything ongoing, I don't even know if anything's been said, but I just think if he was going to, he would have done it. And it just seems strange not to, because at the end of the day, he lives up here, and you've got a football club on your doorstep. He's obviously passionate about football, otherwise he wouldn't have bought Midtjylland back in Denmark. The word I'd seen more recently was that he was looking to buy Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, I think that's
so perhaps maybe he's just looking a bit more bigger than what we are, which is a shame. But that's his choice. But you know, Allan's a really good businessman. I wouldn't put it past Allan to convince him eventually.
And then I think can't remember if it was Mike, but I think there was links with Tony Bloom and things like that as well in Brighton at times. But I don't know if that's just people talking or speculation itself.
I can't see that being more than
I think
speculation.
that was
I think where Hearts could come into it is the fact that it's McInnes in charge and Paul Sheeran, because Paul Sheeran obviously played with Kell at one point.
Yeah.
I think that was one of the reasons we got Ben Brannan in from Kilmarnock.
Yeah.
So you'd hazard a guess and say if we kind of chapped on Sheeran's door and asked if there was any Hearts boys wanting to come out, that might not be. Yeah, it wouldn't be the worst thing, and it wouldn't be out of the question, I think.
Yeah.
You could see from the summer business that we did, there's still a lot of love and goodwill for us from either former players or former coaches, or a blend of both. A lot of the players we got in were on the back of good word from people people that have been here before. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I think that's where Hearts could come into.
I think it's well known that they asked a few players like Graham Shinnie about Alfie, Bavidge, Stewart.
Yeah.
I think they asked Romy Dees about Ben Brannan.
I know.
They asked a few others, but obviously, as you say, it's about word of mouth and about other people's time at home as well.
I know as well where Liam Sol's concerned was a combination of Andrew Shinnie and I think Brian Rice, because Brian Rice works as a coach at Livy and he recommended him to us. And you've also got, as you say, you've got people like Graham Shinnie at Aberdeen, Jonny Hayes is at Celtic, and Chris McCart, although I think he's leaving Celtic in the summer, but he went through the Celtic Academy with Kell. So, I think people sort of looked at Kell and just thought, internal appointment, nothing special there, but Kell's got kind of 20 years of credit in the bank with us, and you look at the number of players that have kind of come through the club and coaches and managers that have come through the club, those are all people that will know him and have worked with him, and clearly going by the summer and possibly in the January if he feels the need, they're more than inclined to help, so it's great to see.
Yeah, so kind of follows on that a bit more about Inverness' potential. Where do you think it'll up and go? Where do you think we're at now?
I think where we're at is probably as good as we can get for just now.
Yeah.
We started the season with -5. It was always going to be tough to kind of build a run, but we've done it, and we've done it really well. We've hit a bit of a slump the last couple of games, but even our growth got up last season. I think they'd lost 8 games before they won the league, so I think we've only lost 4, and 2 of them are at Steny. So so it'll be tough, but I do think we've got enough in us to win the league. And as I said before, we've got a proper owner, we've got a really good management team, and we've got a really, really good squad. We're all kind of out of excuses for not doing well, and everybody expected Hamilton to be our kind of closest challenger. That's not happened for umpteen number of reasons. Steny and Alloa are really good teams. Very well run sides, especially as part-time clubs, but I'm not sure if they've got the sustainability to mount a challenge, not be as consistent as we've been. And I think Queen and South are the same. I think they've kind of fallen short a little bit as a full-time team, but all we can do is keep doing what we've done for the majority of the season. I mean, these 2 defeats have come off the back of a 10 game unbeaten run, and we won 8 of those games. And I just look at what we've got. We've got so much quality up top. We've got a proper sort of line of experience running through that team. You've got 17, 18 players who are all capable of commanding a starting place. Yeah, and that's provided we don't bring anybody in the January window. We might. I just think we've got too much about us to kind of let it fall away, and I don't think we will. I think it'll be tough, and I think it will probably go on, probably at the last few games of the season.
Harder than we think.
Yeah, I think so, but I think we've got enough in us to do it, and then the question is, what do we do after that? But hopefully we'll be doing it as league champions. I'm not saying our hands are on it yet, but I'm definitely saying we're going about it.
Obviously, but no matter what, I think you take promotion, no matter what, obviously. I think, obviously, as fans as well, you want to see it up at Impact slowly where we want to be.
Absolutely.
Hopefully that'll bring back fans a bit more in the numbers.
Yeah.
And bring more people to the stadium, more money, more revenue.
And I think
everything like that.
I think as well, if we get back into the championship, hopefully that generates more revenue for us as well. But we've got to do it, and even if we have to do it the hard way, we still have to do it.
We seem to do things the hard way anyway.
We love doing that. That seems to be our way of doing it, but we have to do it this season, because if we don't get up, will struggle to put a team together as good as the one we have
Yeah.
this time round. So it has to be this season. But we've seen it already. I think we're more than good enough to do it. We just have to knuckle down and get on with it game by game. You know?
But anyway, right, I'm just going to round it up here and finish it up because I think we've covered quite a lot.
Go on then.
On a very good shot about Charlie in depth. It's been nearly an hour, so it's been quite a good shot. So thank you very much, Charlie, for coming on to host the Football Channel. Hopefully we'll see you in.
Thank you for having me.
It's been a pleasure. Hopefully we'll see more kind of things like this in the future.
Am I right in thinking I'm the first guest?
And he is the first guest. So there you go.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, man.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.